2018 was so full of great events and interesting people, we had more stories than we did shows. So before we head full steam into 2019, here's a last look back at some of our best stories that you didn't see on About Town. Hello everyone and welcome to About Town. I'm Kathy Whiteman. We'll kick off this special edition of the show with highlights from Pooch Fest. Here's a look.
These pups are strutting their stuff for the annual Pooch Fest.
Dogs just come. We have 4 different contests they participate in. It's costume, talent, look-alike, and tail wagger. And so we get all kinds of dogs. Anybody can enter. It's like $10, and they can enter all the contests. They get lots of goodie bags.
This golden retriever mix is Misty.
We got her at the Irving Animal Shelter about 7.5 years ago. So she was a rescue. We got her as a puppy. And we've done all of the training ourselves since we've had her, and she's just been a joy ever since we got her.
Last year, she took the top prize as Best in Show, adding a little more pressure to the competition.
Well, I think Mom is feeling the pressure a little more than Misty is right now. Misty's pretty much goes with the flow no matter what it is. So she's a very laid-back dog. One of her other talents you might see a little bit later on is every morning she retrieves the newspaper. So she goes outside, brings it in, and then hands it to my dad, who's 96 years old, who lives with us.
Alongside Misty in the contest was long-haired Chihuahua Bo, a rescue dog with an inspiring background.
He was found on the streets in West Texas when they had the fertilizer explosion. So, they didn't find his owner, and I'm just very blessed to have him. Actually, the last 8 dogs I've had have been shelter dogs.
Multiple dogs took part in this year's Pooch Fest, and they were dressed to impress.
I decided to get dressed up as well as the doggy this year. So even though she looks like a prisoner, she's really just a big prisoner of love.
As the competition gets going, owners reflect on how their dogs impact their lives.
Just a lot of love. It's just so nice to have him to share my life with.
Just the greeting that you get every single day, the love and unconditional love. And then she's so much fun because she loves to learn. So we've had a lot of fun training her to do different things because she's very motivated by food, as you might be able to tell.
And for the second year in a row, Best of Show prize went to
Misty.
While dog owners enjoyed showing off their pups, the rest of the crowd had a tail-wagging good time. For About Town, this is Susan Kamyab.
The old saying, practice makes perfect, certainly applies to children's performer Matt Tardy. His show combines juggling and contortion, and he had his young audience at the Valley Ranch Library completely under his spell. Susan Stevens brought us the story.
Circus-style entertainment popped into Valley Ranch Library as stunt juggler Matt Tardy put on a jaw-dropping performance.
I look at juggling as basically my way of conveying my art form. So I love to perform. I love to be on stage and engage my audience. Juggling just happens to be the vehicle in which I use to do that. So to me, it's a very artistic experience and a form of self-expression and also entertainment. And juggling just happened to be the thing that I was excited about at one point in my life, and now has become the talent which drives the show.
Matt's passion for juggling was sparked in his hometown in Maine at age 13.
A lot of people don't realize, but there's a huge hotbed of performing artists in the Northeast. A lot of Cirque du Soleil performers go out there and take workshops and work on things. So I actually grew up in a town where I literally studied with Cirque du Soleil artists and gold medal jugglers and just Broadway comedians and all these people. So they were just right at my doorstep. And once I got excited about juggling, I was hungry for it, and I sought out teachers everywhere I could get them.
Though he practices and prepares each act, there is an unpredictable factor in the show.
My favorite part of the show is when I challenge the audience to give me 3 random objects to juggle. They come from the audience, I don't know what they're going to be, and I've juggled some really bizarre things. And again, I love to challenge myself, and my show is generally, it's the same stuff that I've rehearsed for a long time, but every show, that part is always different.
Snap, shoe, keys, snap, shoe, keys, snap, shoe.
But the show doesn't just feature juggling. Matt Tardy is also a contortionist, a skill he actually gained through a genetic disorder.
You can train to be a contortionist. You have to start really young and be very committed to it. A lot of contortionists actually are born with some sort of genetic, like connective tissue disorder. And that's kind of how it was with me. I didn't really have to work at a lot of the stuff I do. It came naturally to me. Now that I'm older, 24 years later, I've had to really assess like what's good for my body, what's not good for my body, and I also have to keep up with things like yoga and stretching and all these really important things so I'm not damaging my body.
And when it comes to learning how to juggle, Matt says it's all about the time you put into it.
Juggling's like playing the piano. Like I can show you a piano, I can show you all the keys, I can tell you what notes they are, but if you don't sit down at that piano and practice over and over and over again, you're just not going to be good at it. So there's no trick to juggling. It just takes a lot of practice.
Connecting with the audience is a valuable part of these smaller community shows, but Matt hopes his performance inspires these children to try new and difficult things.
One of the things that I talk about briefly in my show is that in order to juggle, it needs to be a challenge. So by its very nature, there needs to be a chance of failure. And so I try to let the kids in on that idea of like, when you want to do something really great and really exciting, there also has to be a huge chance of not getting it right the first time. So I love to challenge myself. It's really exciting, and I hope that I inspire the kids to also challenge themselves.
An exciting show with lots of twists and tricks. For About Town, this is Susan Kamyab.
To help get us ready for great things coming up in 2019, Special Events Supervisor Amy Sturman brings us news on 2 events on the calendar in January. Amy, great to see you.
Yeah, it's great to see you. Happy to be here.
So we always look forward in January to the MLK celebration, and you guys have done something really interesting this year. You've brought in kids in an interesting way. Can you talk about that?
Yes, what we decided to do was have an essay contest for all ranges, starting with grade 3 through grade 12.
Wow.
And just let them tell their story of what their thoughts are. This year's theme is United Together, which in today's world we think that that's a great theme. And it was a great way for kids to tell us what United Together meant to them.
That's wonderful. And it's always wonderful to get their perspectives, especially because I've had a chance to get a sneak peek at the script. When you're talking about the legacy of this man who meant so much to the country, you also have to talk about where we go from here. So including the kids was a wonderful idea.
Right.
Yeah.
And just looking at the future and what their thoughts are of United Together and how to grow together.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. So any other highlights you want to share with us?
We are excited to say that the Dallas Black Dance Theater Encore 2 group will be back this year. So we're excited again to partner with them, as well as the All Funk Radio Show will be with us performing as well. So we're excited to have them, and it's going to be a great performance by both.
So let's say when that's going to be, because then we're moving on to the next thing.
Right. It's going to be Sunday, January 20th at 6 p.m. at the Irving Arts Center.
All right, so that one's coming up fast, folks. Tickets are free. Do we need to get a ticket ahead of time or just show up?
Just show up, and we would love to see you out there.
Well, that is great. All right, so and then rapidly following on the heels of the MLK celebration is Frost Fest. So you guys decided to bring that back.
We did. It's one of the popular events that the city of Irving does, and we're excited to bring it back again this year.
So I know that in the past we've seen little ones come out, especially for the cartoon characters. Are you guys doing that again this year? Are we having some folks out there singing Let It Go or whatever that's called?
Right. We're working on that. So we'll see who might make a special appearance out there.
Absolutely. And of course there will be snow.
Yes. We'll have 2 snow hills this year. That's always a popular, as well as a snow play area. So if we don't see snow that day, then we'll still bring it to it so people can experience snow in Texas.
All right, so folks, don't miss the Martin Luther King celebration on Sunday, January 20th at 6 p.m. in Carpenter Performance Hall. And then the very next weekend, Frost Fest at Cimarron Park. That's Saturday, January 26th, and the fun kicks off at 10 a.m. Cynthia Flores always brings us a list of her favorite movies at this time of year, and she says that there are a few that you just have to see before they leave the theaters. Here's Cynthia's list of must-see films of 2018.
2018 was a big year for films, so I'd like to take this time to share with you my top 10 list of must-see films from 2018 before the Oscar awards are handed out. Unfortunately, I don't have the time to go into great detail with each of them the way I'd like to, but I can list them for you till we get to the top 2 films. At number 10, I have the documentary about the much-beloved Mr. Rogers called Won't You Be My Neighbor? Number 9 is an awesome German film about an artist that was tormented by his childhood under the Nazi regime called Never Look Away. At number 8 is the stop-motion masterpiece from director Wes Anderson set in Japan that tells a story of a boy's quest to find his lost pet in the film Isle of Dogs. Number 7 is from director Barry Jenkins, and it's the amazingly told story of a woman in Harlem who, while pregnant, struggles to prove her fiancé is innocent of a crime he's charged with. I'm talking about The Haunting, If Beale Street Could Talk. At number 6 is Bo Burnham's intimate film about an introverted teenage girl played perfectly by newcomer Elsie Fisher, who tries to survive the last week of her middle school year before leaving to start high school, a film anyone with teenagers should watch, 8th grade. Number 5 is the film written and directed by Adam McKay. It tells the story of Dick Cheney as he rose to become vice president to George W. Bush. Christian Bale brings him to life in the riveting film Vice. At number 4 is Rami Malek's portrayal of the iconic Freddie Mercury. The film follows the story of the legendary rock band Queen and their famous performance at Live Aid, a must-see for any true fan, Bohemian Rhapsody. Number 3 is an amazing foreign film from South Korea, directed by Chang Dong-lee. It's a brilliant mystery thriller that will have you on the edge of your seat till you're screaming at the screen at the very end. I'm talking about the stunning film Burning. Finally, I have my top 2 films. At number 2 is Roma, the brilliant foreign film done in black and white by Alfonso Cuarón. He wrote, directed, shot, and edited it. It's a beautiful film about a year in the life of a middle-class family's maid in Mexico City in early 1970. It's based on his own upbringing. From the first scene, it's a thing of beauty, and I believe it belongs up there with films like the iconic Three Colors trilogy by Krzysztof Kieślowski. Roma has a magic to it that's slow and lingering, making it a must-see film.
Buenas noches.
It was really hard to choose this year, but my number 1 gotta see it film is Green Book, which is based on a true story about the relationship that was formed between classical pianist Dr. Don Shirley and New York bouncer Tony Lip. Tony took a job as Mr. Shirley's driver and security personnel as he did a tour of shows in the segregated Deep South of the 1960s, leading to a lifelong friendship. The heart of the film may be the chemistry between its 2 leads, but the soul of it is the music and the message of inclusion, making it my number 1 must-see film.
Do you foresee any issues in working for a black man?
You in the Deep South, there's gonna be problems.
Promise me you're gonna write me a letter.
I promise. Tell me that don't smell good.
I've never had fried chicken in my life.
You people love the fried chicken.
You have a very narrow assessment of me, Tony.
Yeah, right? I'm good.
Who will be interacting with some of the wealthiest people in the country? It is my feeling that your diction could use some finessing.
But why you breaking my balls?
Because you can do better, Mr. Balalonga. Dear Dolores.
I saw Dr. Shirley play the piano. He's like a genius, I think.
Come on, take it easy.
I prefer not to get grease on my blanket.
Ooh, I'm gonna get grease on my blanket.
This gentleman says that I'm not permitted to dine here.
I'm afraid not. How does he smile and shake their hands like that?
Because it takes courage to change people's hearts.
We also have another movie favorite we'd like to share, the animated hit, Ralph Breaks the Internet.
3, 2, 1, go!
Way to go, kid.
1 second, I'm having the time of my life. The next thing I know, my game is just...
Kid!
on.
You guys always impress me with your creativity. Like, it never ceases to amaze me. Like, the fact that you can take the internet and turn it into like a place that I would want to visit.
Oh, cool.
And honestly, like, so I guess you see that Vanellope and Ralph, they obviously want to go to eBay first.
Right.
But if you guys had to travel the internet, where would you want to visit?
Oh, to actually go visit a
If
place
we went to
in
that,
the internet.
That
Yeah.
internet.
Where would you go? I would
Go to IMDb, you know, it'd be like a film archives or something.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
I can get lost on, I mean, that was one of the first websites that I used to, you know, go down the rabbit hole, and I still do. I mean, it's still my fallback, you know, of like, well, I'm bored, what should I see? Oh, IMDb.
So would there be movie stars in IMDb, or just the movies, or just words?
I think it would be yeah, the stars would be all the people involved,
that's
and you
cool.
could kind of like, so what were you in? Oh, and you were in this too, you know, and
that's
you know,
nice.
that would
That's
be
good.
cool.
Yeah.
There's a very weird website that I go to called Shorpy.com, SHORPY, and it's these archive photographs from, like, you can see Civil War photographs and
That's pretty good.
Kodachromes up to the 50s, so like Depression era Walker Evans style stuff, like any number of photographs from historical.
So it'd be like a
Yeah.
gallery or like a museum.
Yes.
Guys are doing
Photos.
it right now.
Yes.
See,
Yeah.
like all of this could be in a movie.
Yes.
So good.
Let's do it.
Man, why didn't we have Shorpy in there?
I love Shorpy.
Shorpy and IMDb. That's
Yeah.
really great. Well, besides the really cool internet, I really enjoyed watching the little boy who was playing Slaughter Race get frustrated while he was playing a video game, just because it reminded me so much of my fiance. He gets mad every
based on
time.
me,
Yeah,
you know,
I
it's
was.
based on myself.
Well, I was gonna ask, how do you guys react whenever you're, I don't know, when you're
Playing?
playing video games and losing?
I'm exactly like that
You're
kid.
angry?
More at myself. you
I
know.
just find an inner peace, and I say, this is what the world wanted from me right now. It's okay.
No, you need to
okay.
you gotta
You
get
need to
angry at
lose.
those games.
Okay.
No, you gotta, because then that's gonna drive you forward.
And I have to ask Phil, I know that you were a journalist before you became a filmmaker. I'm curious, since the roles have kind of reversed a little, what do you think is better? Is it better asking people questions, or is it better getting asked the questions?
That's a good question.
That is a good question. I like talking to people, so, and finding out stuff about them. So I would rather ask the questions.
Yeah?
I would, because
Would you like to turn the tables on her now?
so you're getting married.
Yeah. What's that like?
How do you feel about that?
I feel good. See,
There was subtext in your response too, so there's
Let's dig into that a little bit.
see, I just
What kind of cake are you having?
oh, that's a
vanilla and
softball.
chocolate.
Yeah.
That's a softball. We don't have time for softballs. We got to get
Well,
right
that's
to
how
it.
I get
know.
into it.
No, I miss every day talking to someone from a different walk of life. That was, to me, by far the best part of the job.
Well, now you get to talk to me every day.
Yeah.
Which is the best part of the job.
Oh,
He's lying.
gosh.
He's lying. I can tell.
Sugar Rush is getting unplugged.
The Irving Black Arts Council is getting ready to celebrate African American History Month with their annual art exhibit and program. Jerlene Miller and Frank Frazier join us with the details. I am so honored, Frank Frazier, to have you here, and Jerlene, honored to see you as well, as always. So this is something that the Irving Black Arts Council has undertaken for, I think, probably your entire history of 30 years to put on this wonderful art exhibit, and I want to start with that. You have showcased so much great talent from the Metroplex. Tell us about this year.
Yes, we have, and thank you for having us. This year, we're very pleased with what we have. We have two of our, I should say, veteran artists who have always been supportive of the Irving Black Arts Council, and one is Mr. Frank Frazier, who's here, and one is the estate of Othello Beck. His wife is showcasing or exhibiting 5 of his works. And Evita Tessino has exhibited with us too. Yeah. So what we have historically tried to do is expose upcoming artists. So along with those 3 artists, we have Choke the Artist, Tyra Goodley, Gwen Power, and Stephanie Yearby exhibiting with us. And our theme is art imitating life, and the exhibit would run from February 2nd to March 3rd, with the reception on the 9th, where all the artists are expected to be there and talk a little bit about their work, their craft, and just meet our patrons.
I think that's wonderful, because one of the things that you do to explain or illuminate or advance anybody's agenda is to create art about it. And Frank, you've been doing that beautifully for so many years.
I've been blessed.
And we've been blessed to have you. So tell us what
just like I kept looking at this table here, and already I turned that into a slave ship. So that's what it looks like.
Because it's got the shape
right,
that
got
you.
The shape.
And I always say that artists see things with different eyes than the rest of us, and you've just proven that theory for me.
But bottom line is, I'm blessed. I'm glad to be with some of these artists. I like all of them, but some of them I'm kind of close to. I watch them grow, especially Avita Artisanal. She's going to be the show of the thing. Choke is good too. Just going good show. I'm blessed, just glad to be here, glad to be with I go all the way back to, what's his name that started it? The guy, he was with John Paul Batiste.
Oh, you're thinking about
way back. Richard, right. I go all the way back to him when he ain't had no job.
Okay.
And he has now retired and is enjoying retirement from the city of Irving. So
he's a good brother.
Thank you so much for being here, Frank.
My
Before
pleasure.
I let you guys go, Julian, I want to ask you also about the program that you guys are doing on the 24th.
Yes, on February 24th, we have a program entitled I Am Living Black History. And it is being produced by someone you know and we all love here, very talented, Sharon Keaton.
Oh my goodness.
And it takes place in a museum setting at night, and the exhibit come alive. And it's going to show a lot of our history. Spoken word will be included, dance and music. And she's using area students.
Oh, okay.
And many of the students are from the Urban ISD. And following that, we will have a unveiling of the stamp that will be introduced this year by the postmaster. And then we end it with food. So the food is being prepared by students from Nimitz High School.
Excellent.
And the chef there. And all events this month are free. Except, of course, we invite all the patrons to come out and to purchase art. But if you want a piece of Mr. Frank's art, you cannot get it at the reception. We will put you in contact with him and other artists. And then after the exhibit is taken down on March 4th, and you will pay and pick up your art.
Okay, wonderful. So it's an opportunity to meet these wonderful artists, and if you are moved to start collecting or add to your collection, have an opportunity to purchase as well.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for being here. Folks, you don't want to miss the wonderful activities created by the Irving Black Arts Council for the 2019 African American History Month celebration. The exhibit runs through the month of February. The African American History program is on February 24th.
February 24th.
Irving libraries do a lot of things extremely well. One of those things is their holiday-themed events. Here's a look at the chills and thrills at Friday Night Library Halloween edition at the South Irving Library.
The library is closed, but the fun has just begun as South Irving Library hosted a spooky Halloween event.
Tonight is our Grimm's Haunted Fairy Tale Forest and our Friday Night Library event. Every other month, the last Friday of the month, we have a Friday Night Library. We close the library at 6, open back up at 7. It's always themed to a book, and this one is Grimm's Fairy Tales.
Children dressed in their favorite costumes and anxiously awaited a very decorative trunk or treat.
Trunk or treat with 10 cars, and I think we were out of candy within the first 25 minutes, is normal, no matter how much we get. And we just do a small trunk or treat so the small kids have an opportunity to do something safe.
After stocking up on candy outside, children and their parents go inside to take a walk through the haunted forest,
which is in our basement, which is a wonderful place for a haunted anything because it's enclosed and it's very dark down there.
Those looking for less frightening thrills made their way to the themed carnival games.
We've got a Punch Out the Apple at Red Riding Hood's grandma's house. There's a Rapunzel's Castle upstairs where the kids can pull things and get prizes. There are just a variety of different simple games for small children.
Finally, families could take it easy with the showing of the original Disney animated Snow White.
It is based on original Grimm fairy tale, and that original animated one has a little bit of the darker story than the more Disney-fied ones that have come after.
Friday Night Library relishes in the Halloween festivities, but it's also a fun and safe place for kids.
I think in this, current social climate, you're not really sure even of knocking on your neighbor's doors, and especially if you have small kids, to be able to take them someplace at no cost that you know will be safe is really important.
Though putting on the event is a lot of work, it's worth it for organizers when they see the children's smiles as the night ends.
I'm the last point, first point in, last point out, and so I get the comments, thank you for doing this. We always have so much fun. This is our 8th time to come, our first time to come. So it's always fun just to realize that, one, we're seeing the same people who count on it, but that new families have found us too.
Friday Night Library's Grim Tale and Haunted Forest was a wicked treat with lots of sweets. For About Town, this is Susan Kamyab.
So if all the Halloween fun wasn't enough proof, check out West Irving's Thanksgiving event based on the cooking show, Chopped.
The baskets are getting prepped, and the competition is getting ready as West Irving Library hosts their first Chopped Thanksgiving edition.
We're going to have 2 rounds. One's going to be like Thanksgiving dinner, so it's going to be like a roll and some turkey and some cranberries and just all that kind of stuff, and we're going to let them kind of come up with what they want to do for that, and then we'll judge like which one's the best one. They'll get a little trophy, and then we'll do a dessert round also. So we're gonna have like pumpkins and pecans and just all that good stuff that you get for a dessert on Thanksgiving.
Kids ranging from 6th to 12th grade worked as teams to create an entree using all required ingredients in 15 minutes.
Honestly, it's good teamwork because we're going to have them in teams, so it's a good way for like maybe other teams to get to know ones that they don't know that come into the library. Helps them work on like their team building skills. We just thought that was a really good way to teach them that. I'm just excited to see how the teams react and like what they make. It's exciting to see what they come up with all the items that we're providing.
During the first round, contestants put their creativity to the test, using items like Hawaiian rolls, turkey, fruits and veggies for their dinner dish. And one team stood above the rest.
But the winner that we chose was the only one that didn't do a sandwich. So the winner is team number 2 with their savory Thanksgiving pie.
We made like a remake of a Thanksgiving pie. It was really creative because we used all different things that wouldn't normally go together.
Next up, the dessert round, consisting of pumpkin, chocolates, nuts, and other Thanksgiving sweets. Originality struck again as the team with the most unique dessert display won the round.
One of y'all made a dessert turkey, so we gotta give it up for Team Dr. Pepper. They won.
I was happy to hear about it because me and my mom always watch Chopped.
Chopped Thanksgiving Edition cooked up a flavorsome team building experience.
I'm proud that my sister won. Well, the whole table, and their cooperation was great. They helped each other. They worked together, and they won. I thought it was really fun. I hope they do another one because I really like baking and cooking. It's one of my really big hobbies.
For About Town, this is Susan Kamyab.
One of the interesting people we met last year was Irving filmmaker Larry Stanley. Susan Stevens caught up with him to talk about his most recent project, Channeling Hamilton.
Local filmmaker Larry Stanley has been pursuing movies for quite some time. Having already 6 features under his belt, he is excited for the release of his newest project, Channeling Hamilton.
I don't know if I'm ready.
I've wanted to do a documentary for a really long time. I just never could find the subject. And then when I was at ICTN one time, Kathy started singing Hamilton. I go, what are you singing? And she goes, this is Hamilton. You have to check it out. I was like, okay, I'll listen to it. Even though I'm not into musicals, I'll check it out. And so I listened to the musical, and I'm like, this musical is totally embellished. There's no way this guy did everything they're saying he did in this musical. There's no way he created the Coast Guard and the New York Post and Wall Street, and he was George Washington's right-hand man. I go, this is totally showman. And so I picked up Ron Sharono's book and read it. And I was like, whoa, this really happened. And then I listened to the musical, I was like, whoa, this really happened. I'm like, okay, I found my subject for my documentary. So I know the play is really popular, but there's still a lot of people who don't know anything about Hamilton.
The documentary examines all the phases in Alexander Hamilton's life.
Some really notable historians from across the country are in it. Some local Irving historians are here, professors from North Lake and teachers from Irving ISD. They're in the film. But we really just dive into every aspect of his life. I mean, Hamilton was a passionate, very passionate man, had a passionate and controversial love life, and we talk about that. He made a lot of mistakes, a lot of political enemies, and we talk about that. We talk about the dynamic between Hamilton and Jefferson and Hamilton and Washington, and go into the rumors about Hamilton having an affair with his sister-in-law and about the Reynolds pamphlet, America's first sex scandal that Hamilton was involved in. We jump into all that.
Larry's passion for filmmaking comes from the love of bringing his ideas to life.
I don't know, I love it. It's, for me, especially when I write or when I start creating, it's a concept to completion, you know, because it's my brainchild, it's my baby, and I'm nurturing it, and I'm putting in all this work, and then I know I can finish it, and you know, just seeing, hey, these were words on paper, you know, for my features, and now here's the film. Or Hamilton was this guy I want to make a documentary about. After a lot of organization, here's this film.
Larry encourages everyone to see this documentary as it sheds light on a significant founding father.
I think every American should know about Alexander Hamilton. He was such a big influence on this country and where we were when we started, and people still don't know about him. So I encourage everybody, if you don't watch the documentary, go to your library, check out a book, go to Half Price Books, get a book on Hamilton and find out who this guy was, because he was such a huge influence on this country, and he's a little, you know, up until a couple years ago, he was one of the lesser-known founding fathers.
Take a stroll through history by channeling Hamilton. For About Town, this is Susan Kamyab.
We say farewell to 2018 with this special edition of the show, but don't slow down yet, because there are some great events coming up in our happenings About Town. Mainstage Irving Las Colinas presents Ravenscroft, January 18th through February 2nd in the Dupree Theater. Evening shows are at 7:30 p.m. and Sunday matinees are at 2:30 p.m. Las Colinas Symphony Orchestra presents classical guitarist Jacob Cordover in concert on Saturday, January 19th at 8 p.m. in Carpenter Performance Hall. And get ready for a day of beautiful music with the Irving Symphony Orchestra at Dallas Treasures and Music from Around the World on Saturday, January 26th in Carpenter Performance Hall. Call 972-252-ARTS for ticket information on all these events. That wraps up this special edition of About Town. Thanks for joining us. We'll leave you tonight with a look at the Nimitz High School Choir's 50th anniversary reunion concert. From all of us here at ICTN, we wish you a happy, healthy, and prosperous new year.